This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to FLENJ's third Tech Chat, virtual Tech Chat. We are joined today by four amazing women who are pioneers in the interpersonal mode. And I'm very happy that they're here with us today to share what has been working for each of them within distance learning specific to the interpersonal mode. Thank you for all of you for taking the time to join us. I know that we had a large amount of attendees and interest for today's session, so everybody's really curious to learn from these four amazing individuals and what has been working for them. So just a few housekeeping things as we get started today to make sure that you are all aware. The feedback form that you'll be getting after the session concludes today will include a link after you provide the feedback for your PD certificate. So you'll be able to access the PD certificate once we hear from you from that feedback form. So that was also the same feedback form that you received in the registration document that was sent to you when you initially registered. So in that registration document as well, you'll find a copy of this slideshow, which includes all of the presenters' slideshows as well as links. And I'll be adding information as we continue to talk and share, and we'll be monitoring the chat as well. So we appreciate those of you that are joining us that are not talking to just mute yourselves and listen in. And then when we are taking questions and facilitating the chat, we can go ahead and monitor your questions and hopefully get you some answers live from these four incredible teachers. I also wanted to share with you that if you are able to donate to this organization, FLENJ, which stands for Foreign Language Educators of New Jersey, I know that folks are joining us from different parts of the United States today, so welcome and thank you for being part of this. If you are willing and able to donate, FLENJ appreciates any generosity since we're setting up these chats for free. Everyone who's sharing is also volunteering to share their time and their effort, so any donation goes a long way. So without any further ado, since we do have an hour together and we have four facilitators that are going to be sharing, I want to go ahead and kick it off with introducing our first facilitator, Fernanda Saborido, who teaches in Wayne, and she is a high school French and Spanish teacher and newly on the FLENJ board as well. So welcome to Fernanda, and I'm going to change the access over to her. So hopefully you can see her screen instead of mine. Oh, it's not letting me do that. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop sharing and allow Fernanda to share now if she can.
Hey, can you see it?
Not yet. I can see you. Oh, there you it is. Yep, I see you. I see it.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Like Noemi said, I'm Fernanda. I teach Spanish and French. This year, I teach 6 classes, 3 Spanish 1 classes, 1 French 1 class, and 2 French 3 classes. So I'm just going to share a couple of the ideas that I have been using in my class. Either I have used or will plan on using for the next couple of weeks. So a little background, when we went into distance learning, we were asynchronous. We were not allowed to do Zoom or Google Meet until right before spring break. And then now we can now use Zoom with the students. So I started using Zoom last week. So I have a couple of more ideas. Okay. Is that better? All right. So the first idea I have for you is when we went into distance learning, I created a Instagram account just for my students, and the idea was simply to, post jokes and memes and, stay connected with them because there was no other way of seeing them. And then after that, I came to the idea that I could also do some interpersonal tasks with them. So I have been posting pictures, make a post, and then I have the student comment on my question or on each other's questions. So last week, I put a picture of a dog that is not even my dog. I just made it up. And I had the students simply ask the prompt that I gave them. And the what you see now is just a couple of the stream that they answered. We were working with adjectives with the French one, so they got to practice a little bit and answer the questions. Another idea that I had was also to use text messages and have students text messages each other. So one of the things I used to do in class before we stopped teaching was to do weekend chat. So I simply asked students to text each other and talk about what they did over the weekend, and then they took a screenshot and emailed it to me. So there's a couple of examples what they did over the weekend. Okay. The next idea, which I have not tried yet, I have on my plans to try this Friday, is Netflix Party. Okay. Netflix Party is a Chrome extension. It gives you the ability to can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
Fernanda, we can hear
Can you
you.
hear me? Because it looks weird on my side.
Yes.
no,
No,
we
we're
can
good.
see Netflix Party.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So the students can watch a show together, and then on the side, it gives you a conversation, a little chat bar, like that example I gave you up there. And you could they could simply have a conversation back and forth with each other. I know there's a lot of teachers out there that watch certain Spanish shows and French shows in class, and this is a great opportunity to keep going. There are tons of shows that are appropriate for students, so they would just be a matter of what you enjoy doing in class. Okay, for speaking, I have been using Flipgrid for a while. On the right-hand side, you can see all my grids, so the kids are very familiar with it. Usually, I just put a prompt, either a written or speaking prompt, and then the students respond to it. I keep it private. I moderate it so that the students don't see each other at first. And then what I usually do is I open them so that the students could go back and respond to other students, making it a sort of interpersonal. What I've also done last week was I had the student do the flip grid, but as the student was recording it, I had her on the phone, on speaker, talking to another student. So like that, it made it more interpersonal because they were going back and forth without stopping and without having any hesitation. Okay. Zoom breakout rooms, I'm just starting to use now since we got recent permission to use them. I tried using it yesterday. I didn't realize, for the first time, I didn't realize that you could ask students to record. So this is what I'm going to be doing from now on. After I give them the task, you can request that one of the students to record the breakout room for you and then share it with you so you don't have to be jumping from one to the other at all times. It worked out really well yesterday. I gave them one specific task and then they discussed it between them, and then I kept jumping back and forth. I've also added the Zoom breakout tutorial at the bottom so you could set it up on your computer if you are using that. And my last idea for you is Extemporary, which is great for simulated conversations for the AP exam. I'm just playing around with it. But it seems very easy to use. It is a free app until the end of your semester. Usually it's like either $8 or $9 a student. So it'd be great for you to play with. You could do written or visual prompts. You can set it for individual or for groups. So this is where it would be great for the simulated conversation. And they also offer sessions to teach you how to do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays during, I think, around lunch. I put the links there, and I also put a tutorial for you to figure out how to do the groups. Okay. And those are my 6 ideas for you. Hopefully you are able to use some of them in your class.
Fernanda, thank you. In the chat, a lot of people are sharing about Netflix Party and how cool that you set up an Instagram account for your students, and then that way you have that constant communication as well. So really great ideas. So thank you for all of that. I'm going to turn it over next to Caroline. So Caroline is a high school Spanish teacher. Her and I are Twitter BFFs, and we finally got to meet for the first time in person at ACTFL this year, and we instantly connected because we're very like-minded in terms of sharing with our students and coming up with some really cool lessons. So Caroline, without any further ado, take it, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Hey guys, I'm Caroline Schlegel. I'm a Spanish teacher in Maryland. I work in a small school in Western Maryland, Smithsburg High School. This is my 13th year teaching. I spent 9 years on the eastern shore of Maryland in a beautiful, beautiful area near the beach. So now I'm on the opposite side of Maryland. I teach Spanish 3, 4, and next year I'll be teaching AP, which I'm really excited about. It'll be my first time teaching AP, so I'll be seeking so many resources from so many people and ideas. These chats have been awesome, so I'd like to thank FLENJ for organizing them and also making them available to people outside of your organization, because I think that's really powerful and speaks a lot to what you guys value in terms of appreciating teachers across the nation that are dealing with switching to distance learning really quickly. So I really appreciate you guys. With that being said, I'm going to try and share my screen here as we adjust to using a different application for distance learning. And I think you can see my window. At least I hope you can see my window.
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. Thank you. Let me see if it'll, there we go. I have like put myself in my daughter's room because there's so much going on downstairs in my house. So a couple of my ideas are, they're interpersonal, but not all of them are truly interpersonal. But my goal is to get my kids speaking. This idea comes with the Zoom program, but I think it could be used for any video conferencing program. It's called Secret Word. And using the chat feature in your video conference platform, you can message a student a word. And the student will then use circumlocution to describe this word to other kids. And if another student can identify that word, they would unmute themselves and then say the word out. It's kind of like password, kind of like taboo, could be like the fishbowl game. But what's really nice is you can keep the one word in the chat privately to another student, so it's not going to everyone. And it really enables the kids to kind of use what they've got, think on their feet, and use what kind of communication they can to get the point across. And we had a lot of fun playing this. The second thing that I love is Poll Everywhere. And if you didn't know, Poll Everywhere can be put directly into your Google Slides. It's got a Chrome extension that you can plug in. And so I've got an example of that right here, where you can post a word cloud, a discussion board, a multiple choice question and answer, any type of, there's so many different options. The one little thing with Poll Everywhere is that you can only, in the free version, limit to 40 responses. So I always have to clear my responses in between my classes. So if you'd like to try this out right now to see what it looks like on your Chrome extension for Google Slides, up at the top, you can see pollev.com/CarolineMark694. And the question is, what is your favorite part of distance learning? Once you get logged into that, you'll be able to respond and you'll be able to see other people's responses. From that point forward, kids can post their own questions and they can start having a conversation. This is kind of like a discussion board feature in Poll Everywhere. So I'm going to try to. Differentiation has been so incredible with this. Like, what an eye-opening experience realizing how to mix all of the different apps that we use and pushing out certain assignments to certain kids. It's just, it's really, really opened my eyes into how to differentiate a little better. sweatpants. So if you can see, you can look at the different responses on your device as well. So I like that too, because it's not only just on the screen, it's also on your device. This is just one type of poll everywhere that you can embed into Google Slides. And I can put the link in to how to do that in the chat when I'm done presenting. But these are all really great. Yoga, French yoga, love it. Daily mini siestas. I tell you, being home is insane. We just bought a house and moved in and are redoing the entire house. So that's been really helpful for us too. As you can see, I don't know if you guys can see the controls over here, but I can lock the poll so no one else can respond now. I can also clear the responses and then they go away. So then you can have your next class answer. Thank you guys so much for sharing in that piece. I'm going to back out of it now and go into my next idea, which actually is a little bit of differentiation, speaking of which. Idea 2. All right, so I am always trying to prep my kids for the AP exam, even starting at level 1. And so this is something you can do from novice learners up through AP. So you can take 3 different resources. I chose an infographic, I chose a short video clip that was comprehensible to the students, and I chose a short reading. And based on those resources, I took a look at my list of students and I pushed to a third of my students one of each of the, or I'm sorry, just one of the things. So a third of them got an infographic, a third got a short video clip, and a third got a reading. And I pre-designed in Zoom, and I am imagining that it's probably the same way in other platforms for video conferencing, but you can develop your breakout rooms prior to the kids arriving. And so what I did was I grouped all the kids that got the infographic together, grouped all the kids that got the video together, and grouped all the kids that got the reading together so that they could discuss in a small group what the important aspects of the resource that they received were. After that, I could see the breakout rooms and I can drag and drop kids to different rooms. So it's almost like a jigsaw where then I put a kid with an infographic, a kid with a short video clip, and a kid with a reading together. And now they have to share what they learned because they've become the expert with the group of the resource that they shared. And they can work together to create something else. So maybe they create a shared Google Doc. Maybe they create a quick presentation. Maybe they create an infographic collaborating on Google Slides or whatever it may be. But you can jigsaw the kids in breakout rooms to allow them to discuss resources and then collaborate to create something else. That one takes a bit of planning, but it's definitely worth it. And the kids are super appreciative of having the different aspects of resources. I'm working on, in my level 4 class right now, we're working on job applications, job preparation, what you should wear to an interview. And so we're going to look at 3 different resources for that this week. We already touched on this a little bit in the previous presentation, but I can't speak enough to the fact that Flipgrid has been really helpful during this COVID-19 transfer to distance learning. And so I sometimes post a silly, crazy video like this week, and I've video recorded myself wearing sweatpants, a hat, way too much lipstick that got all over my teeth, these giant earrings, some socks tucked into my jeans and some tennis shoes. And I was going for an interview at a professional setting. And I needed my kids to assess what I was wearing and tell me whether or not it was good and provide suggestions, etc. So you can post a video prompt or you can post a series of questions. And then the students respond to that. Then what I love about Flipgrid is that if you allow, students can respond to other students. And so if I want my kids to actually go in and listen to, John talk about whatever he talked about, they can respond to that. So I like that they're not just responding to me, but they're also responding to each other. My 4th idea is to put kids in pre-assigned breakout rooms. or random breakout rooms, it doesn't matter, and they create questions together. So students might create who, what, when, where questions with a resource, or they, give them a topic, give them a theme. So you can provide an authentic resource, or you can provide a theme, whatever it may be, and ask them to develop questions. Then you can randomize those breakout rooms, switch up the kids that are in them, and the students can ask each other those co-created questions. So not necessarily truly interpersonal because they've had a chance to prep their questions, but the students have co-created those questions, and then they feel empowered to go into another group and ask those questions to a new set of people to see if they can answer them. I did this with a resource. It was just a quick reading, and they had to create the who, what, when, where, why questions, and then go in and use the resource and then develop their answer citing the text. So they did a really good job with that. And I love, one of my favorite parts of distance learning, going back to the poll, is popping into breakout rooms and hearing kids speak in Spanish. And even when I'm not there, you can't be in all breakout rooms at the same time. And so, you pop into group one and they're speaking in Spanish and your heart just explodes. It's so amazing. My fifth idea, again, is centered around breakout rooms because I believe in the power of small groups. And this is in conjunction with a previously shared resource. You, as the teacher, can prep 5 questions. And then using the broadcast feature, so I don't know if you know, but in Zoom, and I'm sure in other platforms, you can broadcast to all, and the question pops up briefly in each breakout room. And so I could prep a question for the kids using a resource. They're in a breakout room. I broadcast the question to them. They can discuss the answer. Then I can broadcast the next question to them and they can discuss the answer. And then I can bring all back together in the main session and then share out those ideas with the rest of the class. You can broadcast, like I said, to all rooms. I don't believe that you can broadcast to one room, but I did today pop into a breakout room, and we're studying genres in film in my level 3 class. And so I popped into one breakout room and I gave them the genre of horror films. Then I popped into another breakout room and I verbally gave them the genre of science fiction films. Then I popped into another one, so on and so forth. They had to then collaborate and develop a mini plot. I gave them 10 minutes to develop a very brief, tiny, teeny mini plot. And then we came back together and they shared out their plots, and the other groups had to guess which genre of film it was coming from. So the power of breakout rooms is really incredible, and it enables the students to work collaboratively in a setting where they feel safe, and then they can come back and share out. My last idea is using a Google Doc to collaborate in groups in the language. This is actually a screenshot from my level 4 class. Like I said before, we're studying jobs and job applications and things of that nature. And so I created a document and I pushed it to Google Classroom. And then I gave them a series of titles, and we were discussing like things that would be important for qualities and abilities that were needed for this job. And so group 1 came up with their list. They collaborated in that. Group 2 came up with their list, and they were all able to type in the document because I had sent it to them and they gave them all editing rights. And so you can take a look at the things that they're posting there. But it just allows kids to collaborate on one document. And it's not necessarily the writing there that is the interpersonal skill. It's the discussion that goes on behind the scenes that then produces the writing, which is the interpersonal skill. And that, I believe, is all I have. A lot in a little bit of time. We're super all in this together. And so I've been really grateful learning so much from other people on Twitter. The things that you're posting have really given me ideas, and the power of feedback from your students. Ask your kids what they miss about your class and see how you can make that a reality for them virtually, because that's really been super helpful for me in this situation. I've gotten a lot of ideas from my kiddos. So that is all I have, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Thanks, Caroline. All your ideas were so fun. I especially love the jigsaw activities or making a video and like a silly outfit. I'm thinking about all of my leftover Halloween costumes from over the years, how creative you can get and just fun, right? So lots of creativity with your ideas. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Absolutely. It's an honor.
I'm gonna I'm gonna turn it over next to Teresa Del Gudice. She is one of the fantastic world language teachers over in Pascack Valley, where I am as well. So Terry today is going to highlight some of the, or one tool in particular that she's really enjoyed using. So Terry, up next.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for all these wonderful ideas. I'm taking notes furiously as we're talking, so I'll share my screen with everyone. Give me a sec. Oops. Sorry. All right. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we are now.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so yes, so Fernanda had mentioned Extemporary, which is the gist of what I'll be talking about today. Go a little in depth. It's very easy to use, but it's a really wonderful tool. That's just me. Feel free to contact me. I'll make this Google slide available to everyone. Best thing about Extemporary, it's purely interpersonal communication, whether it's between teachers, students, and students. The prompt can be audio, video, multiple choice writing, and the students can respond in the same. And here are some hyperlinks to tell you more about this website, which is now free for the rest of the semester because of the virtual learning and quarantine. Okay, so here's what a typical page might look like. You have all of your classes, create the classes, and then I'll get to grading gradebook. One of the best parts of this is once you create a task, you can have students converse with one another in what are called rooms. It can be in pairs, groups of 3, 4. The teacher can also be present in the room. So this fosters student communication. Once you get into a certain class, a certain assignment, so here you see the students. Here's a typical prompt and how they'll respond. So this is an example of that. It's a GIF. There could be a video, audio prompt, anything, writing, and the response doesn't have to be video. Some special features of Extemporary, they can be integrated into your learning management system. Our school has Canvas. The interface is also very easy for special needs students. Academic integrity, they've eliminated the feature that allows students to copy and paste, so to eliminate cheating. Also, grading, rubrics, feedback, portfolio, you can create your own rubrics. Feedback doesn't have to be just written, it could be video or audio as well. And you could also stop the appropriate point in the conversation for the feedback, does not have to be at the end. Portfolio, all of the past due assignments are now contained in a folder so students can accrue their work in a portfolio. Grading. So here you would see this is a certain task. You would view it. Let's see here. And you can see this is a rubric. You can create your own. I believe there are some already there. As far as the tasks, I believe that, oh shoot. Okay. I received them. Sorry, checking message. Sorry about that. There are also pre-made tasks which can help you.
Teresa, I think you, I think your screen share was co-opted.
Sorry. Okay. All right, let me do it again. Oh no. Oh geez. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Noha, if you could stop sharing your screen so that Teresa can hop back on, that would be awesome.
Oh my gosh, sorry everyone.
Non preoccuparti, grazie a te.
What? Okay. Sorry about that. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, sorry. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can hear you, yeah.
I'm
Okay.
wondering if you want me to try to share your presentation.
So the feedback, here again, how you grade, here's a rubric. AP exam, they do provide some conversations. They are working on a question bank with the timer to prepare students for the AP exam. You can sign up for a workshop. Just keep in mind it's based in Minnesota, so they're an hour behind us here in New Jersey. And yeah, just some other little things. And I'll share this with everyone. So, good. So I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Terry.
Good.
We,
No problem. My pleasure.
We've newly been experimenting with that tool, and it's definitely serving a really great purpose within distance learning for some of our teachers, again, to help facilitate interpersonal and speaking tasks with their students. So last but certainly not least is our girl Meredith White, who is next up to share with us some of her ideas.
Yay! Okay, you can hear me okay, hopefully. The little microphone's moving. There are so many familiar faces, even not being in New Jersey, because I'm just outside of New Jersey in Georgia. And it's just so funny. I looked and I was like, hey, there's Jill, there's Ada, there's Lauren. Like, wait a second, there's all these like little faces that we just see each other online. So I'm going to share my screen and you're going to see one slide here. I tried to put them all in one place. Because I knew I'd be with a bunch of fellow fast talkers. And so I was like, all right, we can like roll through this, but I want you to be able to see everything kind of at the same time. So the way I conceptualize, I teach Spanish just outside of Atlanta and levels 1 and 2. So I'm thinking, my brain's going like, okay, what can novice learners not Google Translate? And what also, you know, are going to be authentic tasks for them, because level 1 and 2 are just, they're just different. You know, anybody that's taught the lower levels, you know, some of them haven't decided if they like it yet. And some of them are like, cannot wait to get to 3 and 4 and AP and whatever. So you've got, you know, you've got everybody. I think of a lot of these technology tools in 3 different ways. And I labeled them at the top as MoTech, low-tech, and no-tech, because we are in week 6 of learning, you know, distance learning here. And so after week 2 and having about 3 like live chats a week where I was just in the room like, hello, is this thing on? And trying to do a lot of synchronous things. I don't know that that's kind of what we're going to be doing a lot of at my school and my situation, because we have a lot of equity issues and kids that just, they're almost doing it like a college course. They're going like, okay, Tuesday, Thursdays, my mom says I can have the computer for 3 hours and like, that's it. So we have large classes and a lot of them. So obviously Flipgrid's already been talked about. And the only thing that I want to add, besides like obviously the amazing info that's already been given, is be really careful with the feedback and the settings. I set my Flipgrid so that students had to sign up with their school email, but that also meant that 2 different times I spent an entire afternoon giving video feedback, and they weren't getting them because our email server was blocking the email from Flipgrid. So if you've experienced that, the interpersonal part is, you know, would be the point kind of where we could use this here. But if they don't get the video back, then it's a little bit more presentational. So if anybody else has had that issue, if you have school issued email addresses, that might be an issue. I've also embraced our school, our district learning management system more than I had in the past. I kind of brushed it off before, thinking kind of like, oh, okay, like, I don't know, I'll use Google or I'll use whatever, but I'm lucky that we have both Google Classroom and like a platform that we use. And it has embedded voice, embedded video, and you can respond in different ways. So we've got like kind of a video feature that I didn't even realize existed, just because it's not a particularly like innovative platform. Ours is Blackboard. So it's like eClass, iCollege, the University System of Georgia uses it, and I know many do too. So I've gotten to explore some of that not only am I using now, but I'm also looking ahead to the fall. Should we be back, you know, in session face-to-face normally, or, you know, beyond that, I'm interested to have them respond more just within the system that our district already uses. I didn't know. Google is also a great resource because it's free. And I know we've mentioned Google Forms were mentioned earlier, but Google Forms for open response have been really fun. Just like a question of the day or some kind of posed thing that students can then kind of free response into. Again, be ready for, students who are like, me llamo es, and suddenly use the subjunctive and the pluquamperfect. Always a good time. But I found that the Google translated responses have been minimal, and that's been kind of fun. Like it's almost like a delight to see me llamo es, because it's like, hey, look, you're just you typing. This is awesome. And that's been really fun. So just like daily forms, the only hassle is like making it, duplicating the same form and changing the question or whatever. And I've also been using in the speaker notes for the slide, and I can put the link to the slide in the chat. I have been using Google Calendar pretty heavily for one-on-one appointments, not only for questions, because right, these are the days when students, like, you're finding out they don't know how to log in or write an email. God bless. I mean, I love my students, but like if one more person loses their password. So for those one-on-one chats, of course, obviously you can hold office hours, but for the one-on-one interpersonals, I've got students who I know are going on to level 3 and so I'm sending them everything, like watch this on Netflix, follow this Instagram account, whatever. But it's also been really fun to set up appointments with them. And I've got like an in-depth how-to that like I said, that it's that I can link in the speaker notes of the slide so that you can see that as well, where it goes through is how to make like an appointment instead of just like a calendar date. So not just a thing on your calendar, but how people can actually sign up. So students go in and they pick a time slot that works. Pinterest was already mentioned, and Leslie Gran has an incredible Pinterest that's not level specific or language specific. So she's got all the languages, like all the ones that she can find things for, and a lot of authentic resources. I've got, and our user handle is the same at the bottom on Pinterest. I've got all of my level 1 and 2 units kind of mapped out by theme, and I just keep pinning stuff to those Pinterest boards. Interpersonally, then you can prompt kids with, okay, find an infographic. What do you think about that? What do you think about, insert the topic. There's, I'm thinking food because that's kind of what we're talking now. It's like, the health value of snacks, processed foods around the world, all these different like infographics that we can find in the target language. Now having students respond to them, like, what do you think? Do you eat a lot of snacks? And that maybe could be back in that Google form. So again, I put that under like MoTech, because if we're picturing like kids at home with a computer, that's a bunch of clicks and like several tasks. So not all my students can do that. And especially I can think of 5 or 10 right now that only have their phone, and it's like an older version smartphone at that. So, thinking of all those kind of equity issues, but those are some definitely enriching ways. Low tech, even just emailing out a question of the day. I went through our learning management system, and what our email does is auto compiles like their addresses. So like if I start typing in Noemi Rodriguez, she's going to come up as her like district email. I put all those in a note, and I just email students blind copying all of those emails in every time. So it's like, hola clase, just so you know, unit 4 stuff is posted, the asynchronous stuff they can do. But it's also been a fun way to do a question of the day and email everyone at the same time. It was rough the first couple weeks because they did not know how email worked. And all of the students were exposing all of their like digital literacies that they did not have. And so that was like, they're like, they're responding to emails like under my email. So I just think it's blank. We've gotten over those speed bumps now, and they now know how to respond to email. And so it's been really fun. Like, like has already been said, what are you watching? Like, did you see this on Netflix? Da, 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 da. Again, it's not interpersonal in the moment, but it's still interpersonal in the way that we know emails and texts. And, if you're looking at the AP exam too, the email scenario. Our school and district learning management system, again, has messaging. So in that kind of low tech feature of if you know your students know where the portal is to check their grades, or they know where, to access whatever, maybe they can at the very least get it on their phone, and they can be opening it up in a browser and maybe respond to a message that way. And social media, we also have Instagram accounts and Snapchat accounts. I'm trying to make these things not cool so they stop using them in class and, pay attention. It's not working so far. And so they can respond to our Instagram photos and comments. And I try to post a lot of pictures in both the stories, but also like post pictures that stay there, like in the Instagram feed itself. Clipdomatic is a really cool tool. What Clipdomatic does is you set the language, and I believe you can check more than, I have obviously only tried Spanish, but I think you can choose from a variety of languages. And as you're talking in Clipdomatic, I'll pull it up here, it like transcribes what you're saying. So it'll transcribe, like if I say, so my phone's in Spanish, which I think is why it's like interpreting the Spanish. But if I say, I'm holding it now, blah, blah, let's see. Oh, nope, it's just gonna play me back and my face is way too close. It'll transcribe what you're saying in the moment below where you can see it. So the product is a video of you saying like, hola clase, estoy aquí en mi oficina, you know, whatever. And it's putting it below in like a little text box. And so that's been really fun too, to push out on social media, or again, like just post on your platform, whatever your school uses. You can upload them. You can do as much or as little with those as you want, because it'll just come to like a video on your phone. So as long as your phone can send, you know, you can connect all the things and send the video to something, then you can push it out to students, even if it's just like an Instagram page. If it's, you know, accessible, all they have to do is have an account, and they probably already do. And then you can just post it, and it's sort of, you know, just some automatic input. The interpersonal part is then if they respond, you know, if it's that question of the day, or like, clase, like class, what should I eat? Cereal? Oh, I don't know. This is me having a bowl of cereal at 11:30 last night. Should I be eating cereal? It's kind of late. I don't know. Is that healthy? Or whatever, like something based on like, oh, the answer is no, by the way, because it was huge. Whatever your theme is, whatever your current topic is, maybe something with that, you know, like Caroline was saying earlier with the clothes, like that's amazing. Should I wear this to the interview? Oh, I don't know. I think I look pretty good, you know, and then they could respond or whatever. It's interpretive in the moment, but, you know, isn't all interpersonal. And then the last part says no tech. So I think of my students who I know right now are experiencing homelessness. So it's not just like no computer, it's no food, no home, you know, chaotic family situations and so forth. And so even if we were synchronous a lot of the time, they probably don't want a lot of that broadcasted on like a Zoom chat or that kind of thing. And a lot of teachers are experiencing that too. If they're looking no tech or simple, remind.com, of course, can go one way or both. I don't use it anymore just because it was like a lot for me coming to my phone and students texting at like 10 a.m., you know, on a Sunday asking about grades. But during like this particular time, it could be really useful, just especially for the pushing out feature, but also with the response. I mean, be prepared for some responses and some grade questions and all of the other things. But at least you know it would be coming right to their phone. And if you're not comfortable with that cell phone part, you can always, my colleagues are all they all made Google Voice numbers because they don't want to use Remind, and they want to use in the, you know, in addition to the other things. And they've just made a Google Voice number to set up appointments with students to like actually talk on the phone in the target language, especially AP, and as well as just text. And so that's been really really interesting, like really important for them. So hopefully not too fast, not too many things, but also accommodating to you know, various situations. We've also favored the interpretive and presentational modes pretty heavily at this time. And so if you're beating yourself up for not doing like, you know, all of the things, I don't think any of us, you know, is. So hopefully some of those ideas are helpful.
Thanks, Meredith. And I totally agree that we all have to be really flexible on ourselves right now, especially in this learning environment for the students, for our parents, for ourselves. So I was just nodding my head for the majority of your presentation, in agreement with a lot of the ideas that you shared, and unfortunately some of the obstacles that we're all facing right now. So thank you for all of your incredible ideas. I have been looking at the chat. I know Julia has been helping to also answer some of your questions as well. But I wanted to open up the chat feature on this side for those of you that have questions specific to our presenters or some of the ideas that they shared. Lots of thank yous to everyone, by the way, in the chat from all the different attendees with all the incredible ideas and tools shared. So thank you all. So with 114 people, no one has one question for any of our presenters.
I do have a question. Can you hear me?
Oh, I hear
No?
you. Yes. I was waiting for the
Yeah?
chat. But yes, I can hear you.
I mean, whatever it's easy for you. I just want to have a question for Meredith. That Cliptomatic, is that an app again on the
Correct.
phone?
Yeah.
Or we
Yeah. It's a phone app and it's $5 one time.
of $1 one-time fee, right?
Yeah, one-time fee, $4.99.
Fee, automatic. So you talk, this thing transcribe it and then pushes to a video, and then you share the video with your kid, with whatever
Correct.
kid.
Correct.
Okay.
And so I've saved a few even for next year because this has gotten me thinking like, I could use these again. So maybe even thinking ahead, if you want to learn it and take some time.
Okay. So then the video will be saved automatically though, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Very cool. Some questions are coming in about Google Meet with breakout rooms, and Renee was kind enough to put in the chat an exploration article. But my understanding is if you're using Google Meet, then you just set up other Google Meets as breakout rooms. You can't password protect them at this time. You can't lock them down. So maybe Google's working on that, but we'll find out. Zoom allows you to password protect and lock down. That I've seen. Any other ideas with Google Meet breakout rooms from our facilitators?
Sorry, it's still me. Teresa, how are you? Can you hear me? Sorry. Teresa, you mentioned Exterpore, and then you said that the AP, there's going to be a workshop where the AP College Board will share the AP question banks.
No, not so much. There are similar. Is my mic on? Yeah. There's a similar bank of questions. This would be probably an infringement copyright issue with AP College Board. So just they're working on, and there are many tasks already created for Spanish, French, and ELL. But it's more they provide the format for the AP related tasks that you would do interpersonally.
Okay.
So,
Just
yeah,
curious, are you using the AP Classroom for your interpersonal for the AP to practice for the simulating conversation?
I personally, Extemporary is fairly new for me. I've mostly been using one of the actually it's funny, I only have one student in AP this year. So I've been using mostly one of our textbooks online. But again, I'm still learning Extemporary, and I think the AP question bank came about with the changes with the AP exam this year because of the quarantine. So
Absolutely. Okay.
yeah, I'm still learning about it.
I know the company too is looking for additional questions to add to their bank of resources. So if you're interested in sharing questions or potentially helping to contribute, you can contact them and give them some ideas. Caroline, did you have your hand up as well? Did you have something to share? You're muted still.
I know.
There you go.
Slow.
Oh, you're muted again. You're unmuted.
Okay, it's super slow. It's still showing muted on my side, so whatever. I was trying to respond in the chat to a question that somebody said. I think, is it Katie? Regarding expectations for IPAs with the lost interpersonal time right now and the lost input time. I've been really working to push things into Google Classroom so that the students can work with those things. So I've been trying to make sure that they get some type of video input. So they're listening to something. They're getting some type of reading, short reading that they're trying to interpret, and an infographic. I've been really working to give them those 3 sources each week to be able to work with. And then in some capacity, either during our synchronous learning time, discuss those, whether it be in a breakout room, or as a whole group, or give them a few minutes in a breakout room and then discuss it as a whole group, and then have them do something. You can switch the breakout rooms, or you could do it as an individual, where they actually have to create something with the information that they've interpreted, discussed, and then create something with it. It's not ideal, being able to send students freely on their own to interpret those documents and not have you there as guidance. But they're rising to the challenge as long as you find good materials, and then make sure that the task isn't asking too much of them, because then, as Meredith had mentioned earlier, they go directly to Google Translate, and then you're getting stuff back that you might as well have not assigned the task in the first place, So I would say, it's a good thing that we're still able to push materials to kids. Meredith also touched on, and I appreciate it a lot, the equity piece. And of course, we can't push videos to students who don't have the capacity to watch a video. And so still providing either printed materials, printed infographics with questions using the IPA model from Actful, having them search out, even if it's just looking for keywords, developing their own questions, and then being able to communicate with you in some capacity, even if it's on a piece of paper and the school has to snail mail it to you, just being able to provide access to that kid too. So don't quit with the interpretive pieces that are critical, even though we don't have that interpersonal time that we want.
Thanks, Caroline. I think you raised some really great points with what you just shared. And I'm seeing too in the chat with regards to elementary, since all of our facilitators today are high school teachers. Meredith shared out on Twitter all of the different really great activities and ideas within the elementary community that are being discussed. I would advise what you were doing with your own students, try to mimic that in this virtual setting and in a capacity that works for you and works for them, right? So if you want to set up something interpersonal for your students, do you have the capability to meet with them on Zoom, or is that not allowed? Do you have the capability to share with them a reading or something simple for them to watch in the target language? So everybody's situation, I know, is a little bit different from district to district, but trying to find, I guess, easy ways to connect with your kids is first and foremost, and then how to build upon that depending on the mode, I feel like first social emotional health, right? Making sure everybody's okay, and then connecting with them in terms of your content and your curriculum and trying to establish some sort of norm for the day or for the week as you go through. But it's definitely all new waters that we're navigating with this.
I also saw another question that I had some thoughts on in the chat. Somebody has 270 students, holy guacamole, like that is a ton of little humans that need to be assessed with their interpersonal skill. I have used a short rubric, and I forget who I found it from. It might have been Martina Beck's, to be honest. But it's a short interpersonal rubric, and they can self-assess based on a conversation. So jump into small groups, and you can give the students a task to work on together. And then as the facilitator of the session, you can go in and out of small breakout rooms. So I could jump in to a group of, maybe 5 or 6 kids. 270 is a lot, but I can assess the 5 kids. I can have a conversation with them, asking them questions, seeing how they're responding, and do it kind of, again, not ideal, but in a small group session, you're able to assess, 5 kids really quickly on their ability to answer and ask questions. Or you could just sit there and listen to the conversation that you're having, depending on what level it is. Now, you're Spanish 1, Spanish 2, that's not going to happen. You're going to have to push for that. But I can pop into my Spanish 4 and listen to them have a conversation, and then assess their interpersonal skills with a short rubric. I'll see if I can find it and then put a link to it. because Martina Vex has, of course, amazing things.
Some of the questions that are coming in as well, our facilitators are helping to answer those questions. So thank you for continuing to answer the questions, whether it's in written or in spoken form. I know that, you know, regardless of the interpersonal task, it's always important to just keep the conversations real with your students. So what are you doing this week? Or what was your favorite thing that you ate? Or did you learn to make something new? Or did you start a new hobby? Things like that, to just keep the conversation like we normally would in our classes, engaging and relevant based on what's happening, right? Other questions, thoughts, comments for our facilitators? We're about to hit the 4 o'clock hour, so I just want to be mindful of everyone's time and keep it to that 4 o'clock time. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of thank yous to our facilitators, and thank you as well to FLENJ for making this possible today, to allow us this platform to share ideas, and this is being recorded, so we will be able to share this on the FLENJ YouTube channel. So please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. It's a new YouTube channel. So all of the chats will be there. And as I shared when we started our conversation together, the feedback form that you will get and that you got in the registration document is accessible. We're looking at your comments. We're gauging your feedback to make these sessions better and better going forward. We have 6 scheduled, so we're halfway through. We have another one this Thursday and 2 more next week with, again, great presenters and people that are willing to share their expertise with all of us. So thank you to Fernanda, thank you to Caroline, thank you to Terry, thank you to Meredith for taking the time today to prepare and to share all of these spectacular ideas. I know I learned a lot just in under an hour. So thank you all.
Thank you.